Okay, so then the trial starts. And you actually brought some people to get on the stand on his defense, one of which was Chris Tucker.
That's correct.
What did Chris Tucker really bring to this trial?
Chris Tucker was my last witness in our case. First of all, I had to think long and hard about whether we needed to put on a defense case because I thought the cross-examination of the prosecution's witnesses was devastating to the prosecution. But then I said to myself, these charges are so ugly, so awful. I mean, I think being charged with molesting a child is worse than being charged with homicide. I mean, the charges were so bad, I said to myself, we can't just cross-examine their witnesses. We have to tell our story. And if you're going to put on a defense case and subject your witnesses to cross-examination, just like the prosecution witnesses are subject to cross-examination, you want to start strong, you want to end strong, you put the less strong witnesses in the middle. That's sort of a psychological tactic that defense lawyers use. And I ended with Chris Tucker, who knew the family of accusers. He had hung out with the family of accusers. He had actually taken them to some Oakland Raiders games. He had invited them to the rehearsal set in Las Vegas for Rush Hour. And he knew them very well, and he expressed his opinions about them to the jury.
Well, I remember I interviewed Eddie Griffin, who I guess was friends with Michael. He actually, drove Michael to the courthouse and everything else like that. And he always maintained that Michael was innocent. But he also said that Michael was really stressed out during that time.
I was the only celebrity that went to court with the nigga the first day.
Yeah. You actually went to court with him
Yes, I did.
During the whole...
The nigga rode in my limo. He was so nervous he didn't book a car. I drove from my house in Malibu at the time down to Neverland. And him, Catherine was in the car, and I think it was Jermaine. And we pulled up, and they had the fucking red carpet rolled out at the courthouse. Rows of motherfucking cameras. I'm like, nigga, is this a movie premiere or a court date?
Yeah.
And Michael was nervous, nigga. I was like, this ain't nothing but a hearing.
Yeah.
I said, I done been to court when I'm figuring out how much time I'm getting.
Yeah.
You walk in and say guilty or not guilty, and you walk the fuck out.
Yeah.
And the nigga walked out, jumped on top of the SUV and started dancing for the fucking fans.
I remember that.
The judge was mad, talking about we late. If there's 10,000 people on the fucking street, we in the car, we on time, we can't get through the motherfuckers till the police show up and move the crowd out the way.
Right.
Poor Michael was not built for a situation like this. You have to understand what the charges are. First of all, understand that Michael was one of the most sensitive, one of the most generous, one of the kindest people I've ever met. He contributed widely to various causes. He had a rule that whenever he gave a concert, he would visit a children's hospital to visit the kids, to try and inspire them to overcome their illness and to think positively. He was a very kind, nice person. He was an exquisitely sensitive person. I mean, he was just an artist like you can't. He never took a dance lesson. He would create the most amazing choreography, the most amazing performance. I mean, nobody would see anything like this. And he was very, very sensitive. What was he facing in the courtroom? First of all, the prosecution claimed he had masterminded a criminal conspiracy. He was the mastermind, they said, to abduct children, to falsely imprison a family, and to commit criminal extortion. Now, they tried to make him look like a big mobster type, which is utterly ridiculous. Michael Jackson would no more know how to even think about extorting someone, falsely imprisoning a family. It's utterly ridiculous, but they charged him with that. They also charged him with attempted child molestation. They charged him with child molestation, and they claimed in the last 3 counts of the indictment that he had taken a cancer-stricken child and plied that child with alcohol, which he knew would hurt the child's health in order to prepare that child to be molested. These were the most malicious charges, if you think about it. And for Michael to sit in a courtroom day in and day out and watch the prosecution to try portray him as some monster, some mobster type, was utterly debilitating. And he did lose weight. His cheeks, that last day of court, the verdict day, his cheeks were just sunken in. The poor fellow just looked emaciated. He looked pale as a ghost. He looked just debilitated. I mean, I think he was frozen with fear. And because, look, he went home after trial each day. He was out on bond, out on bail, and he would turn on the TV like everybody else. And all he'd see was bad day for the defense, bad day for the defense, bad day for Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's in trouble. Michael Jackson's going to be convicted. And this wore on him because it went on for about 5 months. We started in January of 2005. We ended June 13th, 2005. That's a long trial, 5 days a week. There were a few breaks in between, but it was a devastatingly harsh experience for Michael Jackson.